nationalism brought sweeping changes in the life of the people, sweeping changes in the society, sweeping changes in the mental world. Mental world here means the thinking of the people was completely changed. Hello everyone, we are at the concluding part of the chapter, Growth of Nationalism in India. We were discussing about the different icons and symbols that were adopted by the Indian nationalists to create a sense of collective belonging among themselves. Because a sense of collective belonging, it counts a lot when we talk of a nation or when we talk of the establishment of nation state, as Indians were fighting for it for a long time. We discussed that this feeling of collective belonging or collective identity, you can call it, it came not only through struggles or wars but also through the cultural processes, and we discussed so many things about representing the Indian culture in different ways. And taking this topic forward for you, we are at the icons and symbols that were adopted to propagate among the people a feeling of nationalism, a feeling of oneness, that Indians could have a feeling of pride. They could feel proud of themselves that they were Indians. We talked of Natesa Sastry in the previous lecture, that he collected the Tamil literature, and this collection is famous as the folklores of southern India and the true manifestation of people's experiences. Then Rabindranath Tagore also collected different hymns, rhymes, collecting the folk tales, collecting the legends, and telling the people that you have to feel proud of being Indians. However, Indians used to hear every now and then that Britishers called themselves backward, primitive. So there were Swadeshi movements in India during the freedom struggle. There were Swadeshi movements. So many Swadeshi movements broke out. During the Swadeshi movement in the 19th century, Indian nationalists adopted a tricolor that was green, yellow and red, and this flag had 8 lotuses representing the 8 British provinces in India and a crescent moon that represented Hindu-Muslim unity in the country. So this flag was there, and it was a symbol of uniting the people of India. However, in 1921 again, Mahatma Gandhi designed a Swadeshi flag. It was again red, green, and instead of yellow, it was white. And it had a spinning wheel. Spinning wheel represented the feeling of self-help and self-reliance. These icons and symbols, you get it in your board examination, 3 marks each. Go through NCERT page 71, 72, you will get through all these things, all these pictures also. So these flags, the nationalists, they were holding it aloft during their marches. It was aloft holded by the nationalists, by the people who participated in the processions, telling the people that we feel proud that we are Indians, preaching the people about self-reliance and self-help, telling them, encouraging them to adopt Swadeshi and boycott the foreign goods. Then we come to the next paragraph of your page, that is reinterpretation of Indian history. As Britishers always called Indians primitive, backward, illiterate, could not hold themselves, could not hold their government, and they called Indians as barbaric. And they also claimed that it was their civilizing mission to colonize the Indians, and a white man's burden, rightly called by Rudyard Kipling, that it was a white man's burden, it's a burden on our shoulders that we have to civilize our backward brothers, that is Indians. So this remark, this sarcastic comment on the Indians gave our writers and historians an opportunity to rewrite history or to reinterpret history, so that people of India could recall, they could be reminded that India's past was not backward, that Indians are not primitive. They had a very bright background. They highlighted in the history when it was rewritten all the achievements of the Indians. They were revived in it, they were rewritten. India's achievements in the past, in the field of architecture, in the field of art and craft, in the field of literature like Arthashastra of Chanakya, Chanakya's Arthashastra, then so many other literary works about which we read time to time about our culture, so many epics, so many literary works, so many biographies and autobiographies. And what to talk of architecture, of rock architecture, which is not available anywhere. We all know that when Britishers came to India, they said that Indian architecture is of no value. But after some time, because they had seen only Greek gods, and Greek gods are in shape of human beings like we are. They are standing this, like common people. But when they saw the images in India, the sculptures, the art of sculpture in India, they were amazed. So all these points in the history were rewritten to remind the people about their glorious past so that Indians would feel proud. And yes, it worked, because many Indian, they joined the national movement. Truly mass movements were there later, and Indians began to feel proud that they had a good background, they had a very rich past, but it was on its decline because foreigners came to India and they directly attacked on the colonial rule, British colonial rule, that we were very good, our past is very rich, but it was destroyed because of the colonial rule in India. So it was a very good development as far as the Indian history, as far as the Indian national movement is concerned. We talked about the images of Bharat Mata, just now we talked about the reinterpretation of history. But remember, listeners, that all this did not go unstruggled or undebated, because when the past of India was highlighted, it was Hindu. When the images of Bharat Mata were produced, they were from the Hindu iconography. India is not only the land of Hindus, but at that time there was lots of communalism between the people. So other communities felt left out. Other communities felt that in the history of India, in the reinterpretation of history, they were nowhere. So it was again a matter of struggle, it was again a matter of debate, because the writers, they were helpless, because obviously the past reflects Hinduism. The images that were produced by the different sculpturists, they represented the Hindu iconography. So other communities, obviously they felt left out. Anyhow, even then, all these efforts of creating a collective belonging or a collective identity among the Indians, it was very, very beneficial to unite the people. And finally, the people of India, they came together under one umbrella. They began to consider themselves as belonging to one land, as belonging to one nation and a similar culture. And after coming under one umbrella, they were ready to force the Britishers to leave India as soon as possible. And finally, they all were united. Although there were so many voices, just now we have read, different voices, different demands, different religions, different types of languages and culture, but even then, when these efforts were made, they really brought people together, and it made them, forced them to think that after all, for so long we have fought for the independence, and now it is the time that we have to sacrifice our personal, our selfish interest for the sake and for the nation of the country, for the nation, for the sake of the nation. So all the voices were bound together, they were knitted together, and the result was that India came out to be a very united country, an example of a nation state, an example of such a united country that could be seen nowhere, because the diversities and the differences that we observe in India, and that was observed by even the foreign travelers, even they were surprised that how different sections, how different cultures, they could be brought together, and finally an Indian culture had to emerge. So that is all for today. This was your final topic for this chapter. Go through all this, see pages, NCERT pages 71 and 72, you will get all these pictures. See the pictures given in these pages very carefully, because sometime in the board examination you get question on the picture also, picture based question. We will meet again with great energy and enthusiasm with something new for you. Till then, it is a very goodbye.